Hello, I am Paolo. I am the Master of Ceremonies here at IICSR, and I can't wait to have you here to learn together how to learn sustainability and make this planet better. Come to see how beautiful is the place where you're going to be.
Amazing, huh? I wanted to build a more inclusive world. That's why I joined ISCSR.
Hi, I'm Veenu Tiwari. I have joined ISCSR postgraduate course on CSR and sustainability. I wanted to learn about ESG, CSR, and SDGs. ISCSR has the best faculty for this course.
Shadi, the air quality index in Delhi is 216 today. It's the worst possible air quality index.
That's really too much, and we all have to do something to climate change.
We all want to build a sustainable and inclusive world, and IICSR is the only place which is training you all. Come join us.
Very good evening to all our viewers today. We have with us a very accomplished woman professional, and she has led so many things in a short span of time in life. She has been the ESG Director for Americas at Labelium, spearheading Labelium's first ESG materiality analysis and uncovering a gap in today's ESG auditing methodologies in terms of measuring the carbon footprint of digital advertising. She's presently the founder and the managing director of Footsprint, which is dedicated to decarbonizing the digital industry. We would all like to welcome you, Elisa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's great to meet everyone.
So Elisa, you've graduated and built up your career in marketing. What led you to shift towards sustainability and ESG?
I think something that's very common to a lot of people in the past few years, which is just getting educated little by little about the urgency of climate change and wanting to have a participation in the fight against the climate crisis. I think before it used to be that it took a specific path to do that, and it took a path of research. But more and more, any job in any sector can have an active participation in the fight against the climate crisis, because every sector has to enter a net zero trajectory. So I came from a marketing background, and I looked in my sector and my industry, what is it that we can do? And this is what led to the creation of Footsprints. But I would strongly invite anyone who's interested not to think that it's only for other people or that it's only for a given sector, but to look actively within their own sector at what they can do and what there's left to do.
Indeed. So where can we apply the concepts of sustainability and ESG in marketing verticals of a company? Any examples would you like to share with us?
Sure. Yeah, examples are all over us. So the marketing industry, if you look at the background that I came from, was one of advertising. And the advertising has really a key role to play in the transition against the climate crisis, because it has such a tremendous power to build change and to create momentum, to build inspiration. So when you look at the role advertising has to play, there is this notion of making sobriety, of making simplicity, of making a mindful consumerism desirable for the new generations. And that's one of the tremendous roles that advertising has to play. There is also, from a marketing perspective, especially when you look at digital, which is more the sector that I'm specialized in, a duty to make digital more accessible, to close the digital divide, to make digital products and services built for everyone, no matter where they are in the world or the type of disability they may have. And as we know, the sustainability is a lot about social justice. And so that's a key role of any marketer, to really make sure, marketer in the digital space at least, but all around, to really make sure that products are built with this idea of mindful consumerism, of social justice, and of course that any design process, any creative process, any advertising process, any product design process are built keeping in mind this idea of sustainability, accounting for the emissions and entering a trajectory of reduction. So really here, marketers all over the world have work to do, no matter if they work in advertising, in product development, in pricing, no matter what sector they work in. There is this notion of building products, designing services with people and the planet at the heart of it. Hopefully this answers your question.
Thank you so much for such an insightful answer. Yes, it does. Now, my next question to your present endeavor, Footprints, is focused on measuring carbon emissions. Would you like to share more about this?
Yes, sure, of course. So Footsprint is an agency that I founded within a greater group that's called Labelium, and that's focused on digital performance. And what happened is I was the ESG director for that agency. And back early 2020, what we did is we underwent for the first time carbon footprinting at the level of the agency. So we went in and measured all of our emissions for scope 1, scope 2, and tried to measure scope 3. And when and we were accompanied in this journey by a specialized agency on carbon footprinting, greenhouse gas measurement, etc. And when we received our results, our big surprise was that while we were being measured and evaluated on, our offices, how our employees commute to work, et cetera, our heart of activity, buying digital media, was not being accounted for. And for us, this was a major gap because we were convinced that this was the massive part of our emissions. And so initially, we thought that the agency we partnered with didn't understand what we did. So we went and asked the question in the market, asking for a reevaluation. And after about 6 months, the result that came back to us was not that they didn't understand what we did, but that there was no standardized, uniformed methodology for measuring what we do. And so at Labelium, we're a performance agency. Measuring what we do is in our DNA. So once we realized there was something we couldn't measure, it really triggered our R&D. And so we hired environmental specialist in-house with over 10, 15 years of experience in the greenhouse gas protocol and carbon measurement. And we invited them to work with our experts, with web analysts, with media consultants, to work hand in hand, really at the intersection of all of these jobs to try to build a framework. And the idea is that we obviously won't do it alone. So we participate actively with public institutions, public research institutes, and anyone who's willing to contribute. The idea is to build a scientific consensus for measuring the carbon emissions of digital activities. So here we focused first on the carbon emissions generated by websites and digital services, as well as by digital advertising, because that was the heart of our activities at Labelium. And the objective is to accompany, to support all of the clients of the group in this transition and in decarbonizing their digital services and their digital advertising. And so that's what gave birth to Footsprint. Footsprint is the entity that regroups these environmental scientists with these digital experts. It's a team of consultants, and we build tailored consulting programs to really help some of the world's largest advertisers decarbonize their digital products.
It's a very interesting concept, and we are all interested in it, you see. Now, how do you help your clients in reducing the carbon emissions of the digital advertisements that they do, you know?
So something
So
to understand.
I'm sure you have a framework, but how do you reduce?
Yeah, I could talk about it all day. So you cut me off. So basically, one of the things to understand first is that how do we measure emissions? So when we talk about a website, let's take your website, for example. It has a carbon footprint. And this comes from the energy that it is required so that we can consume the information on the website. And so basically, when a person logs onto your website or consumes the content of your website, this energy is accounted for across three key emission sources. First, at the data center, because this energy has to be created somewhere. It's created at the data center level, and it can be either based on renewable energy or fossil fuel. And then this data is being transferred through transmission networks onto our end devices, so our phones or laptops, where we consume the information. And so basically, the heavier the assets or the heavier the contents that we consume online, the more energy is required and the more data is being transferred from the data center through the transmission networks and onto our end devices. And so what we try to do with our clients is to help them see and enter this journey of efficiency, of trying to minimize the amount of energy that's necessary for the same level of performance. So for example, when we talk about a website, in the past 10 years, we've built more and more powerful websites. We optimize for power. And so a web page today is much, much heavier than it was 5 years ago. Yet it loads faster, but it's a question of optimizing for power. What we do is that we try to help our clients optimize for efficiency. So it's a completely different mindset where we try to eliminate and simplify and really lean everything that's unnecessary about the website, everything that's coded it too heavy, every design that's not optimal for the user experience, minimizing the use of images, compressing videos, really helping reduce the weight of this website. And the good news is this also helps performance because the lighter it is, the faster it loads, and so the better the user experience. So it really goes hand in hand with optimizing performances. And we do you can apply the same type of thinking with digital advertising. Basically, it's just about being mindful of the amount of data that we use and the energy that requires when we do something online, whether it's consume a video, a website, or send an ad online. So we really help try to minimize that process so that we can take less space in the electricity grids. Is that clear at all? Because if it's not, yeah, okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. And I understand that you guys get away with the ones which are heavily coded, and help them to reduce their carbon emission with that,
Yes, there's several
so
things.
that the
Yeah,
server space is consumed less, because
e-
the heavier website, the heavier server space.
exactly. So that's the case for websites, and for digital ads, for example. We just published a study that I can send you about the carbon emissions generated by digital influencers, and you'll see in that study that we have tailored recommendations, whether it's for content creators, so people who post content online, with best practices about the type of resolution, for example, the type of length of the video they put online, etc. Because basically, same thing, trying to help them streamline and mind the length, mind the weight of what they do for the same amount of performance and engagement. For advertisers, we have a set of tailored recommendations that look at other type of factors, such as what type of device do we put the ads online, because a cell phone, for example, has a different carbon footprint than a TV. What type of connection network will the end user be consuming the ad on? Because being connected on Wi-Fi consumes about 5 times less energy than being on cellular network. What type of geographic location will we send the ad to? Because an ad set to France will have a different carbon footprint than an ad set to India. So there's a lot of factors that we take into account, and what we do is we help them visualize all of this. We help them understand the impact of why and how they put ad online, and then we build a trajectory with them, so that we can help them set clear reduction targets while delivering their performance objectives. Sorry, I think there might be a little bit
Perfect,
of a lag.
perfect. That sounds amazing, and I'm sure that many of us would need it, including us.
I could talk about it all day, so I'm very happy
Now,
to.
as you all are helping, yes, 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 I think so too. Now, as you all are helping them in carbon, reducing their carbon. Okay, okay. So, do you all use carbon credits? In case you do, how do you all ensure the veracity of the same?
So in our usual way of accompanying our clients, we don't use carbon credits, in the sense that our objective is to help them get into a reduction trajectory rather than offset. So wherever we can, actually in our business models and our consulting plans, we never have offsetting as an option. If the client wants to offset, we're happy to guide them towards partners we have, where we have the carbon credits are under a verified standard, such as VCS, gold standard, etc. Yet we know how complex the carbon credit market is right now, and the state of trauma almost after the last few events that there was recently, and for me, the carbon credit market is going to respond to that, is going to react to that. There's going to be more rigorous accountability standards, and a lot of it could come from project by project verification rather than reliance on a given standard. I don't have all of the answers on that front yet, but for now, for us at Footsprint, our mission is to help reduce. And so we don't rely on carbon offsets in order to do that.
Thank you for doing that. It makes a lot of sense, because that's the first step that they should be doing, you see. So
Exactly.
now, thank you for that. Now, as you're helping them to reduce the carbon emissions, what are the knowledge gaps in the market you have observed for understanding the carbon markets and implementing the same in your thought process?
Yeah. So for us, I would say what's very specific about our sector, and very complex as well, is that to understand, to measure even the carbon emissions of the digital sector, you need to have an expertise and an in-depth understanding of both environmental science and digital products and services. And so, digital products and services is a very broad term, but it actually requires very vertical expertise. For example, when we talk about diminishing the carbon emissions of websites, we need experts that are specialized in coding for specific technical stacks. So you really need in-depth digital expertise combined with environmental science expertise. So that's why we build such a hybrid team at Footsprint. Really build with both of those experts. And I think for me, that's the key in the future, in the sense that in order to incorporate and for every sector to be able to reach a net zero trajectory, we are going to need to build a new skill set that's at the intersection of our core expertise in other sectors and environmental science. And environmental scientists are going to have to come into these sectors and try to build this cross-disciplinary skill set so that they can understand the technical language of the different sector they operate in. So that's really what we're trying to do at Footsprint. The idea is to build a new cross-disciplinary skill set of digital and environmental expertise. And we're convinced that only by understanding each other's languages and really working hand in hand can we build something that's rigorous enough from both standards. Because if you build something without a heavy digital expertise, it might not be concrete or actionable for the digital experts. And if you build something without the environmental expertise, it might not be rigorous enough to be credible. So you really need to build this skill set. It takes time and it's complex. There's a learning process.
Yes.
But for example, I come from France, and in the engineering schools in France, they're starting to teach digital sustainability. And I think that's a tremendous step in the right direction of teaching the fundamental concepts to engineers and people that are going to work in the creation of these products and services, so that they might come out of their technical education with a very concrete set of environmental fundamentals.
It's a very interesting thing to teach digital footprints, because it's the first time I'm listening and not many people are doing that. So it's a
No,
great
I
step.
believe it's the first country that does so. Yes, we sometimes do some things right.
Well, you are the first ones to do that. So that's a great thing. Now, as from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, what is your vision of footprints for the upcoming 3 years?
Right. We have several goals. Our first and foremost goal is to help our clients reduce their carbon emissions by half in the next 5 years. Our vision is to become the performance agency of the future. So we wish for performance agencies, advertising agencies in the future to be a facilitator, a change agent in helping the advertising sector be in transition to being an active part of the solution, an active part of the fight against climate change. And that'll take decarbonization, yes, but that'll also take promoting mindful consumerism and promoting an equitable society. And that's really the vision we have for marketing advertising in the future, and for Footsprint to participate in. This is the vision that we're trying to carry forward.
Wow. I do look forward that you all do come in our country and go across the territories with this vision. What,
We would love that.
what? Yeah. We would love to be of support in any way that you think that we can. So it
Thank you
would be
very
great to
much.
collaborate on
Yeah,
that.
you are already doing so much by just sharing this knowledge. I know digital sustainability is a very new topic. I am happy to send
Yes.
anyone who's listening trainings that they can take online, share information. But the idea is it's a topic that should be known. Today, if digital was a country, it would already be the world's 5th biggest polluter. The urgency is there. And so you're already doing a lot by sharing our story. And we would love to support anyone listening in learning more.
That would be great. Maybe we can roll out some courses for
Of course.
educating people in future. Yeah. Elisa, what is you're doing such a great job, and you're the first in this space that I know who's talking about digital carbon emissions. what would be your message to all our viewers and the people who may watch the recorded sessions in time?
I would say I am just an example of what happens when you have an interest of working and being an active part of the change, and you look in your sector at what can be done and what can be done better, what can be done differently. So I would just encourage you, no matter where you work, what kind of sector you work in, um, what kind of industry you work in, what your core expertise is, not to think that it's only for other people or people who are specialized in a certain discipline, but to look inside, to look at your company, to look at your industry, and to think what could be done differently. And is there an opportunity there? Because sustainability is a tremendous business opportunity as well. So yes, I would encourage to look inside, not necessarily to follow my example, but to follow many others, and to find the intersection of your specific skill sets, and how you can contribute to the climate fight, because every skill set is going to be needed.
Thank you so very much, Elisa. It was a pleasure having you with us.
It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Have a great day.